All right, so let me tell you a little bit of the context of the book and a little bit about Portland. And I didn't grow up in Portland. I've been there for about 20 years, but I grew up in the suburbs of Dallas, Texas. And I got a driver's license when I was 15, so I could drive these cute little boys and my brothers to soccer games and doctor's appointments. So that's what you call, soccer mom, the term? So I was a soccer sister. But in Dallas, we drove everywhere for every trip because that's what you do. And we would get in the car and turn on the air conditioning and idle for a while, let it cool down, and then we'd drive across the street to the grocery store, literally across the street. The grocery store that you could easily walk to, we would drive across the street and then shop and do it all over again. And this was a perfectly normal way of life. This is what everybody did, and it never occurred to us to do anything else. And by the time I was a teenager, I was overweight and depressed and also had big hair and questionable taste in clothing. But it's because it's Texas. What they say in Texas is, the bigger the hair, the closer to God. All right, and then as I was packing to go to Washington, D.C., where I got a graduate degree at Johns Hopkins University School of Advanced International Studies, I found DuPont Circle, and they don't have any parking down there. So my brother said, take my bike, because how am I going to get around if you can't park a car? That was the Texas thinking. And my house that I picked was a little too far to walk to the metro or walk to school or take the metro. And my brother and I said, oh, I can't ride a bike because the last time I rode a bike I was in 10th grade and I crashed into a fire hydrant and it was terribly embarrassing. I scratched up my face, big thick pancake makeup, in addition to the overweight, big hair, questionable clothing. Not a good picture. I think I just showed it actually. It was a terrible picture. Anyway, he says, well, here's a thought, Miss Environmentalist. Why don't you get off your lazy ass and start riding a bike, and maybe you'll stop complaining about being so fat. Nothing like a little sibling heckling, right? To get the blood flowing. I'm like, well, fine, I will take my bike. I will take your bike. That's what I'll do. It's exactly what I'll do. And so I started riding that bike, and I could barely get up an even pathetic hill at the beginning, but after a couple weeks, I had lost a little bit of weight, and a couple weeks after that, I could found myself had a lot of energy, and that I could bike further distances, and a few weeks after that, I fell in love with bicycling. It became my passion, it became my career, and I gave up my car, and for the last 20 years it's been my career. I spent 4 years at a nonprofit environmental group in Washington, D.C. researching international transportation issues, and then I landed the most amazing job, bicycle coordinator in the city of Portland, Oregon. Now my family was totally baffled by this, and my stepfather, Tommy Thompson, he's a good old boy native of the oil rig land of East Texas. He pronounces, why, Mia, what on earth are you doing? Bicycles, nobody's ever gonna ride a bicycle. That's like something like Greenpeace, isn't it? Now, why did y'all have to blow up that boat? And he says, this environmental crap is for y'all hippies. You just don't understand a thing about the real world. So this was 1993, when Portland was just getting the ball rolling. No, this was not 1993. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of Portland. Yeah,